A few nights ago, I got into a really heated argument with some Big Ten folks on X because they keep pushing this narrative that since Texas and Oklahoma aren't going to be playing in a weak Big 12 anymore, they're going to be playing in the toughest conference in America, that is the SEC, they're going to get exposed. And it really grinds my gears when people say this, because if you actually follow Texas and Oklahoma football, you would know that they have always been ready for the SEC. To win in the SEC, the most important thing that you have to be able to do is what? Recruit. Texas and Oklahoma have always had top 10 recruiting classes, at least based off what they've done in recruiting the last 3-4 years. They both had top 10 classes in 2022 and 2024, and Texas had the third best recruiting class in 2023. Oklahoma that same year finished 5th overall. Not only are they really good at recruiting, but they are fantastic when it comes to developing talent. Oklahoma and Texas both produce a high level of NFL players. That's what you have to be able to do if you want to sustain success in the toughest conference in college football. You see, people get too attached to these stigmas that comes with playing in said conference, where you seem to forget that people had the same stereotype about Clemson before they started winning national championships. Remember, everybody was like, oh, Clemson ain't going to be able to win against Alabama or Ohio State when they're coming from the weak ACC, and look what happened. You can't judge a team's potential and ceiling based off the conference that they play in, because sometimes you have teams that are just more superior than the rest of the other teams in their conference. The SEC is more saturated with teams that are on the same talent level as what Oklahoma and Texas are, compared to the schools they were going up against in the Big 12. And the Big 12, Texas and Oklahoma were big fish in the small pond. Now they enter the SEC and they're big fishes in the ocean. But that still doesn't negate the fact that they have had success against the SEC in the past. We seem to have forgotten very quickly that Texas went on the road last year and beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Alabama has only lost a handful of games at home over the last decade. It is incredibly hard to win when you have to play Alabama on the road. And they also gave Alabama a dogfight in Bryce Young's final year. Remember when Texas almost upset Alabama around 2-3 years ago at home early in the season at Austin? Texas under Steve Sarkisian has more than shown the ability to play and beat any team in the SEC. And the majority of guys who were on that offense last year when Texas beat Alabama come back for this year. Oklahoma. Oklahoma won 10 games last year, and Brent Venables has done a fantastic job down there in Norman. As a matter of fact, he's done a better job of recruiting and building up that roster to be prepared for SEC competition than what Lincoln Riley did. Oklahoma and Texas, with the infrastructure that they have in place now, having passionate donors, alumni that are willing to give to the program, to dish out whatever it takes in NIL money to get the top guys in recruiting out of high school or in the transfer portal, is a large reason why both of these programs are built to have success, not just immediately, but in the long term in this conference. Is there going to be an adjustment period? Of course, because you're going to be facing more high-level competition in the SEC than what you ever were in the Big 12. But the thing that has held Texas and Oklahoma back in the past, especially Texas, has never been not having the talent. Texas has always had the talent to compete with anybody. It's been the coaching. And when you get the coaching right at Texas, it's really easy to win. Every time Texas has had the right head coach, where have they never been able to produce Same thing with Oklahoma. Oklahoma has had an incredible run of coaches, going from Mark Stoops to Lincoln Riley to Brent Venables. Oklahoma, Texas, with having elite recruiting, really good coaching, great at player development, they are more than equipped to be able to sustain success in the Southeastern Conference. I don't see them getting exposed. Just because they come from the Big 12 doesn't mean they aren't going to be able to handle the dogfight that is going to be in the SEC, because they have always been ready for SEC level play. They just haven't been in the conference until now.